You're the one who handles everything, the one people rely on, the one who doesn't fall apart, and you're tired. Not always in a way people can see, but in a constant way. It's there when you wake up, before the day even starts. You're already thinking, what needs to be done, what might go wrong, what you need to remember. You might have noticed this. Your mind doesn't really switch off. Even when nothing urgent is happening, you're still preparing, still managing, still holding things together. You think ahead. You fix things before they break. You carry conversations in your head before they even happen. And from the outside, it looks like you're organized, strong, reliable. But internally, it feels different. It feels like you're always on. Like you can't fully rest because something might be missed. There's no clear moment where you can say, okay, I'm done for today. Because even when things are quiet, you're still carrying them. There's someone, let's call her Amina. She didn't decide to become this person. It just happened. Situations came up, things needed to be handled, people needed support. And she stepped in. At first, it felt temporary. I'll just sort this out. I'll handle it this time. But then something subtle changed. People started expecting it, relying on it. And without realizing it, she became the one everything comes back to. The one who remembers, the one who fixes, the one who keeps things steady. Most people don't realize this, but when you become that person, you don't just take on tasks. You take on responsibility that no one else is fully aware of. It shows up in small ways. You send a message, then reread it, just to make sure it lands right. You check in on someone, even when no one checks in on you. You notice when something feels off, and you quietly adjust things, so it doesn't become a problem. And you do all of that without making it visible. Because part of you thinks, it's easier if I just handle it. And another part says, if I don't, it might fall apart. So you keep going. And this is usually where it shifts. Not in one big moment, but gradually. You start to feel something underneath it all. Not frustration, not even overwhelm at first. Just wait. A quiet kind of heaviness. Like you're holding more than you're meant to. And there are moments, small ones, where it shows up. You pause in the middle of something simple. Maybe you're sitting down for a second. Maybe you're alone. And a thought comes in, not loud, but clear. I'm tired of being the one who handles everything. And almost immediately, another thought follows. But I don't really have a choice. So you keep going. Because that's what you've trained yourself to do. Most people don't see this part. They see the version of you that manages, that delivers, that shows up. They don't see the moments where you're holding it together, just enough to keep moving. And this creates something subtle. A gap between how things look and how they actually feel. On the surface, everything is fine. But internally, something feels stretched. This is that in-between phase that most people don't talk about. You're not falling apart, but you're not okay either. You're functioning, but you're carrying more than you should. And over time, that starts to show up as exhaustion. Not because you're weak, but because you've been strong for too long without support. If this feels familiar, pause there for a second. Because this part matters. You didn't become this way because you wanted to. You became this way because it was needed. Because stepping in made things better. Because being reliable kept things stable. Because it felt safer to be the one in control than to let things fall apart. And that worked. It got you here. But what got you here is not always what sustains you. Because just because you can carry everything doesn't mean you're meant to. Take a slow breath for a moment. In, gently, and out, slowly. You don't need to prove your strength by holding everything alone. You don't need to keep pushing past what feels heavy just to keep things working. Most people don't realize this, but strength isn't just about holding more. It's also about recognizing what was never yours to carry in the first place. And that shift starts small. Not with a big decision, not with walking away from everything, but with noticing. Where are you carrying something that could be shared? Where are you stepping in before anyone even has the chance to? Where are you saying, "I'll handle it," automatically, without pausing? You might recognize this, that reflex. I'll do it. I'll sort it. It's fine, I've got it. Even when you don't. And slowly, that becomes your default. But it doesn't have to stay that way. You are allowed to pause in that moment. To not immediately take everything on. To let things sit, just for a second longer than you usually would. Because sometimes what feels like responsibility is actually habit. And habits can change. Not all at once, but gradually. You don't have to carry everything to be valued. You don't have to hold everything together to be enough. Right now, even in this moment, nothing is falling apart. You are here, breathing, still moving, and maybe, just for now, that's enough. You are allowed to put some of it down. Not everything, not all at once, but something. Because you were never meant to carry it all alone.